blasted you in the face.
There's so many inappropriate things. I was just about to say, and we just decided because we did see each other in person this week.
Much like every other podcast duo.
Yeah.
We see each other relatively not much.
But the thing what I thought was hilarious is
there are pictures of it. People got pictures.
Yeah.
Dude, people had me out all weekend. I was out and about. There was
what
proof
do you mean
of it.
you people had me out?
Welcome to Two Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death, Murder Your Thirst. Let's get back into it. It wasn't me. Some people dragged me out yesterday to drink and play cards in the public.
Oh, that sounds fucking great.
It was. That's why I have this glow about me. I got my vitamin D.
Oh, vitamins.
As well as my vitamin T for tequila.
Yeah, boy. What was your chosen game of cards this week?
I forget what the fuck it's called. It's the one
that
my little group plays. Like we play this.
Pinochle.
It's the one where like the first hand is like 2 sets of 3, and then the second hand is like 1 run of 4, 1 set of 3, and then the third hand is like 4 sets of, it's whatever. It's 11 cards to everybody.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called because I think it's bullshit. I think they've made it up. It's something that the two gals have played their whole life. But I'm like gin rummy. I used to play gin rummy with my great aunt.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to screw someone and catch them with a bunch of cards and count all their cards. This is basically like whatever you're caught with, like the highest point total is the loser. So the idea is to go out with the least amount. I think it's a form of gin rummy-ish. And like you have to get a certain amount of cards that play to lay down and then discard the rest of them. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's funny. I'm a man of a certain age.
Yes.
I'm into the. Let's just say I have tiptoed into the second half of my life at this point, delicately and daintily, like a flower, full of fire water. And I have never. When I was 20, I don't know, 26. 25, something like that.
When I was 26.
When I take myself out of the running because I'd done them both. Very nice.
Go ahead with your
That's
story.
okay. That was good. I like that we both went Piscopo doing Sinatra. Not actually Sinatra. It's kind of like I do Bill Hader impersonations of Al Pacino.
Yes, totally. Wow.
So like I didn't learn to play any card games until probably my mid-20s, and I learned to play blackjack. I was told that's easy, you can figure that out.
Yeah.
I have never learned to play poker. I've never learned to play anything just because I kind of don't care. And it's just never been a thing that
there's card games like amongst like home card games are different than like casino card games.
I mean, I can play solitaire, but
that's a home card game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can play 2 card games.
Sad existence card game.
Yeah.
And really the prevalence of solitaire anywhere in modern life is only because of Microsoft GUI.
That's what I was. Yeah, that and Minesweeper.
Yeah. And seeing the cars all bounce, bing, bing,
yeah,
bing.
That was a delight.
A bunch of people listening to this do not remember that, but
or Clippy.
I got a $3,000 computer and I'm playing a stupid card game and the worst video game Minesweeper on it.
Yeah.
Not the worst. That was fun. It was just low graphics.
Nowadays, if your computer does that thing where all the cards blowing over the place, you're probably going to want to restart.
Yeah, you need to call the Apple Store. Something's gone wrong.
Something's gone fucking sideways. You're in trouble. Yeah. So,
but yes, we saw each other. We were at a mutual's milestone birth party. We won't mention birthday party.
Yeah,
I guess she wasn't born.
Yeah, she's 30. Can't believe she cracked her 30s finally. That's
Forever
great.
30. That's right.
Forever 30. Some of those presents were the boots and the hat. The boots and the hat. The Casa Bonita boots. The Casa Bonita hat.
Yes, there's some. It's burning up the internet as we speak. Mm-hmm. We engaged a local artist, Sydney Mayes, I believe. But she was just an amazing artist who won the Casa Bonita Best in Show for these killer, sexy thigh-high
Thigh-high.
black boot, huge platforms with Casa Bonita iconography painted on them.
Yeah, it was cool.
And we privately bought that prize-winning thing like out from under the gallery. We called the gallery that night, did this whole thing, unbeknownst to our friend who like had shared the picture, and we were like, "Oh shit, we should get that for her."
Yeah.
So we dealt with the artist, and she's like, "Well, yeah, sure," but we like couldn't take possession of it because it was part of an art contest, so it was supposed to be showing for like a month. But like instantly, the next day, it had like a sold thing on it. And then we were like, okay, well, those are cool, but it's an art piece. And we want her to be able to wear something. So we like engaged the artist to make a bespoke, like very cool fucking brim hat that matched the boots. And yeah. So if you see those, that's what it was.
I went to 2 parties that day. I went to another friend's birthday party, and it was quite a. We had at one we had Costco potato salad, and the other one we had like the bougiest of bougie cakes ever, and the shittiest of shitty tequila too. It's just
4 bottles of Don Julio.
Yeah, and the party with the
LSD bus that was serving food. Did you hear about that? Like the chick that ran the food truck. It was
the
a
magic food bus.
Yeah,
the magic food bus
was associated with Hunter S. Thompson.
I heard that. Is that the I heard that somebody there used to be a lover in the nighttime.
Yeah.
Of Dr.
The chick who was making our food, and I was like, oh, great. I guess I'll have a hot chicken sandwich. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. You get a glass of Chivas Regal and take a spin down Rodeo.
And it was a lovely party in a friend's backyard. This huge backyard that has like a converted garage. It's an artist house and studio in it. And it was just killer. Bunch of kids, bunch of old friends from the music business, and her friends and stuff. It was really fun.
There was one conversation I remember you and I. Well, we were having with a mutual friend about manufacturing and physical stuff, and it was just like I do enjoy having those conversations at that kind of party because there is some serious industry lingo being slung around.
Yeah.
Wow, there's some serious tequila being shot in the background.
Andy's a heavy hitter, and we're dealing with like some things we may do together with his label. And
nice.
But he's just he's a mensch. He's a great dude.
He's a great dude.
And
yes,
he's on the cutting edge of the leading revival back of vinyl. Mm-hmm. And they're like they're really working with newer artists, but I mean they also are working with like Jill Sobel and like things like that. So it's great because we both are seeing a certain kind of the industry, and it sucks because in some ways like we're both trying to bring it here, but like the manufacturing facility is in Poland.
Yeah.
And
and
there's a major reason for that because it has to do with sort of the raw materials and shipping and all of that. But yeah, he's a great guy, and and we had there was a looper, a solo guitarist looper who played the show.
Dude shredded. He's shredding and running around playing some wicked leads on a Martin that had enjoyed itself.
Yeah, it was a lovely. You know what's great about it too, is that so normally these parties happen at said friend's house.
Yes,
and she has two not children, but 2 kids who are around 16, and. So they're the kind of people they kind of hang out with adults, but at some point we get pretty boring. Like we were talking about like women wearing dresses that don't have pockets and like how bullshit that is that there's no pockets and this thing didn't have pockets. And like, the boy was just sitting there and then he just sort of drifted away like, Jesus Christ, old people talking about pockets. I'm like, dude, you don't understand how important this is. But like one of the reasons we had it at this place was because they didn't want to clean up after her drunk friends.
Fuck yeah.
They have been up when we've been up at 1 o'clock in the morning at the end of a night. And we normally help clean up too and then get a car home or whatever. But like none of that had to happen in this case.
That's great.
Like she got to stay there. But also like you left and went to another show.
Yeah.
And we at one point were like, okay, well, we've been here for like 3 or 4. We can just leave.
Yeah.
Like,
This is
there's
great.
plenty of people here, so we didn't
Yeah.
have to stay and clean up either. So we didn't have to like come up with an excuse. We were just like, we're out. We're going home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the sun was still out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were still getting into another set at the Levitt.
And I got to throw some love out to Calexico and our friend Mackenzie Miller. She put together a little orchestra called the Plain Song Orchestra that is supporting a lot of major artists coming through when they can't get the CSO to come support them. They can get the Plain Song Orchestra to come do it. Really cool thing. Our buddy Tom Hagerman from Devashka. He orchestrated a bunch of the music for this, and it was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
It was really great.
And the
but yeah,
Levitt Pavilion, if you have a chance, if you're in Denver, it's in the city. It's an amphitheater.
Yeah, it's really great.
Great location outdoors at night, and it's lovely.
Yeah, it was magic. And I mean, it just for that to be the inaugural show for them, for the orchestra, was really
That
cool.
was the
yeah.
first one?
That was the first one, yeah. So
So did you get there in time to see Felix the Magician?
No, we did not. We did not. Alas. And let's face it, magic is not for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm dead inside.
Yeah, that's what's so funny is like if you meet someone, they're like, yeah, I don't really like magic. Oh wow, you're just a joyless fuck, aren't you? Yeah, I don't like being fooled, man.
You know what's funny is like my favorite thing is still like that close up shit when I'm standing watching a dude. I mean, I've done, like doing some of the, the shows for like the military I've done. They always have like a full entertainment, like a USO kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except you can't call it that. And you don't have any pinups anymore on those things. Dang it. Boo. Anyway, hey, men of a certain age, am I right?
Hey.
But I've done a couple of those where there's a close up magician, like literally in the middle of the room, and a bunch of soldiers standing around him, and like the shit these guys are doing in front of and there's like 50 dudes circling this guy.
Yeah.
And like he's like fooling them all. Like they are seeing it from all angles, and he's fucking got all of us. It was amazing.
I love it.
I love that shit.
I absolutely love it every time. You know why? I'm able to give up the sense of control. That's the whole key to magic. If you just go like for that moment, go, well, that's magic. That's how he did it. Instead of trying to figure out, was it in his thumb? Is it up the sleeve or whatever? If you're able to go, wow, that's really cool. He totally moved, like he changed physical laws in front of me. That's cool.
Nice.
Like just be like a high stoner whenever you see magic. It's so fun.
I don't get stoned enough anymore.
No, be like one.
Okay.
I mean, you've seen them on television.
I have seen them.
Stoners
are magicians. It's like, yeah.
Okay, that would be funny. We need to come up with like a stoner magician. That like screws up all of their things, like that keeps dropping quarters out of their ear and shit, and then like turns around and a rabbit falls out of the back of his pants or something. That's not supposed to happen.
That's not supposed. That's offsite.
I mean, Amazing Jonathan kind of did that, but it was more cocaine.
Yeah, it was. That was definitely cocaine fueled magic. That was, and what would you consider? I mean, Penn and Teller as well. That's, it's pretty edgy, but I wouldn't say
high
they
art.
were. Yeah.
I love how Penn and Teller will do like, here's exactly how we do this trick, and you still can't figure it out.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's. Yeah. And what was that? Oh, Fool Us! Try and Fool Us! Whatever that. Show was.
the magic. Where they had magicians on there
with one time in band camp. Chick was on that.
Allison Hannigan.
Show. Yeah.
I
don't know what that chick's name was.
Fool Us. Yeah, it was called Fool Us. Allison Hannigan. Yeah, she was also in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You are welcome. And Jonathan Ross. Jonathan Ross.
There was a moment where I, for a little bit of time there, when Penn and Teller started doing their run at the Palms, when I was going to Vegas a few times every year, where I got a few, because I'd have my hair pulled back and I'd have sunglasses on and dressed in a certain way, and I got like twice. I got somebody asking me for my autograph as Penn Jillette. And it was kind of like in between when he was heavy and lost the weight. So it was like somewhere around like just big dude time, you know, because he just is a big dude.
He's
and
a big dude.
we've had a few conversations. I actually met him.
Nice.
And we used to exchange some messages back and forth about a Vegas thing. Is a whole other story. But yeah.
Very nice,
and
very nice.
There was one time where I actually told him this story and said that I did sign somebody as Penn because they wouldn't let me go. It was one of those. It was one of those things where they're like, no, I'm not who you think I am. They're like, yeah, you are. Come on, just sign it.
Come on, just
I'm
sign
like,
it.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not. Seriously. And they're like, come on. And so I signed it, and he was like, well, I hope you're at least nice to him. I was like, oh yeah, I was really nice.
That was real nice. I wrote.
There you go, kids.
Fuck yourself.
Always be nice when you're signing a fake autograph. That's the lesson.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Signed, Penn Jillette.
You're welcome.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
So we've had some events over the last few weeks.
Parties.
We've had parties. We had our birthday adventures. You had to do something last week, which, well, it's considered a public service, much in the way giving hand jobs in a Greyhound bus station is considered a public service.
I did that too.
Yeah, hey man.
I mean, it is
$20 is $20.
It is the springtime.
Yeah, it's my dead season. I got to make money somehow. There's no shows being produced right
Musicians,
now.
you make money at Christmas and springtime at Greyhound.
I don't know. Is there a Greyhound hub in Denver anymore? I don't know.
If
Anyway.
we should trust music business stuff from these guys. Honestly.
So, and by what I mean the public service you provided, you were you sequestered as a juror?
I was chosen. I went, you go to jury duty, you get the summons.
Yeah.
And most people are like, well, how can I get out of this? Let me lie. I don't really care. I work for myself. So like I can take the time. And I want to be on a jury. Like if chosen, because I actually, for all of my bluster, I'm a very proud American. I believe in the Constitution and in your civic duty. I think you should vote, not just in the major elections. I think you should pay attention to the dog catcher, all that kind of shit. Like everybody that bitches about their country or their state or their city, they rarely even know who their fucking representative is, And so I'm just not that way. I've always been kind of civically minded and try to help out where I can and want to pull my weight, as it were, as American. So I got chosen, and actually this is the second time. I got a summons the month before, and you call the night before to see if you're going to be, or you can check a website to see if you're going to have to go the next day. I didn't have to go the month before. Boom, I got another one. I did have to go. You sit in a big room, and they kind of call out a bunch of numbers. I made it through like 2 rounds of them sending people up to the courthouse, and I was like, oh, they're going to let me go. And then the third one, I got chosen. And then I got put on like they do like 21 people for a jury, and then the lawyers go back and forth to choose who they're going to keep. And this was a 6-person jury. So it wheeled down from 21 to 14 to 10, and then it wheeled down to 6, and I was chosen.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
I actually sat in the jury box for 2 days, did the whole thing in the back room. We had to be sequestered. Yeah, did the whole thing. It was fun.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Well, I shouldn't say it was fun because it's serious shit. Somebody's charged with something. The city has a problem with somebody. But it was good. It was informative and a good duty. Plus, that's what I wrote. I was like, I got chosen for jury duty. He said duty. Pretty sure they're not going to choose me. That's my 13-year-old in me. But yeah, and it was very quickly, it was a police. Basically, the city had charged a dude with resisting arrest.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not apt to believe police without pretty good proof because I've seen otherwise on some things. So I was like, ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one for me to be on. And it was Yeah, it was kind of complicated legally, but at the end of the day, he was exonerated, and the charges were dropped, and he won.
Well, congratulations
By
on
a
your
jury of his peers.
your public duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
Now I
probably
hear, is
felt
that
nice.
Florida behind you right now?
No, that is not Florida behind me right now in my thing. But
It looks like Hawaii.
I think I told you this. Like, I am starting to see the appeal of that part of Florida.
I heard this.
And
I heard this.
and
from
I
you
was
in
like,
person,
fuck.
that you might become Florida man.
No, I didn't say I'd become Florida man. I said
You're
I
inching
understand
that way. Between this and fucking Roadhouse, we're losing you to Florida.
That's true. Between you and fucking Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's, but I mean, literally what
you
I
had
did
a great
was,
time. You loved it.
I had a great time. I went, the lady has a family spot down in a certain part of Florida, and it's a nice, quiet area. It's a little bit of privacy. It's a little pool. We went on some boats with some friends. There's a fucking hell of a story associated with a friend's boat being
Meth check.
yes, it's short time. We
Like
docked
you were
at-
there for this amount of time, and you've had a
I had a
messy
full
Florida interaction, and you're
I had
still
a-
like,
yeah.
"Hey, man, I kind of see it. Florida's turning me."
By the way, that was 20 minutes away from where we were staying. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so, but it was far enough away that it was fine. But apparently it was in a certain place. And the cops that we talked to about this, a friend had his boat nicked, as the English say, by, a tweaker McTweakerson. And then when they tried to catch her, she leapt off of the boat and started swimming out into the Gulf.
Toward Cuba.
It's just the whole thing was just fucking ridiculous. But the cops were like, "This is the third time this has happened in 9 years. This never happens around here. This was
Sure,
like some
Bob."
random." I was like, "Okay." So yeah. So but I went out. We wrote some music. We swam. Went to the beach. I read a lot. I was a liberal man in Florida, and it was lovely. I went to a kind of an open mic jam, and I think I was texting you while this was going on. Me and Ryan, the lady, did.
Oh, yeah.
Did our Songbirds duo thing at an open mic, and there was these. It was fun. There was a lot of people doing like a lot of, they were doing like somebody would play a Triumph song. Somebody would play there was a Three Doors Down song happen at one point in time. But there's a couple of guys that were like showed up super early. They're like, my band is we're gonna do a set tonight. And it was fine.
At
they
the
were all
open
there.
stage.
Well, if one dude, there was a fucking ripping guitar player there. He had, he had a John Petrucci model Mesa Boogie head and a gold top Les Paul. He sounded good, played good, sang good, and it was, and then these three fucking high school kids got up there, and they did If Darkness Had a Sun from 72 Seasons by Metallica. That was their opener. They did three songs. It was a trio, and.
That's some deep cut Betty shit.
And they started playing it, and I'm sitting there with a couple of friends and Ryan, and I'm like, holy fuck, they're playing new Metallica. And she's like, what? I'm like, they're playing new. I'm the only fucking gray haired asshole in the back of the room, in the back of this like open outdoor amphitheater. She's like, Darkness Has a Dawn. It's like in the back, because I love that record. Like, it's back there headbanging, and these kids, they played that, and I think, because it's a 9-minute song, so they really
I don't
only
think
did
I
two.
would have recognized it. Maybe. I've heard
but here's
the
the thing:
album.
is if you've heard enough Metallica, it sounds like a Metallica song.
Yeah,
it
does.
like
It's a return to Metallica.
So it definitely sounded like some like Atlas Rise and all that kind of stuff. It had that like newer, like we're going back to our roots kind of thing. And these fucking kids, they played that. Then they played War Pigs.
Yes.
And I just was, and not only that, so I'm happy as bacon shit. These kids
I
are
wanna
fucking
meet these
rocking.
parents.
And like they're 16, 17 years old,
Yeah.
and they are up there, and they are just, and drummer was great, bass player was tired, but and guitar player and singer they were just they were up there just rocking it, and I just was standing up there like, you know how it is. I'm like a proud, like metal dad. I'm like Slayer patch on my jean jacket, just back there, just like having a great time. And they've got groupies. They got a bunch of their high school girls friends out there headbanging, starting a little pit in the front. And I'm just like, this is the best.
Whenever I see kids play metal, I am the most supportive person in the room. Yeah, I will buy them all shots of Coca-Cola. I will stand in front. I will whip up the crowd. Totally.
There was this the whole night started off with this 11-year-old blues guitar player, and I think his name was like Vin, like Vin Diesel kind of
things he
stuff.
must have seen.
Or something like that. But he played Voodoo Child, Stevie Ray's version. I think he played. I can't remember the other two Stevie Ray tunes he played, but this kid his voice hadn't broken yet.
Yeah.
So he was singing everything. Like he would go the high stuff. He'd hit that comfortably, but then he'd like, if it was going to go like way higher than that, he'd have to drop it back down.
Yeah.
And he like played all the licks, played all the riffs, and it was fucking great. Like I'm just like,
my mama took my iPad.
Yeah.
Whoa, is me. Yeah, poor
She
guy.
made me go outside.
Don't play by the tree. And then
Anyway,
ain't
it was-
cool. You know what I'm saying?
But that for me was a highlight. Just watching these these kids like just play cool shit.
Yeah.
And they had a spot, nice PA, kick ass light show.
It's a shame there won't be an industry for them.
Yeah, and segue. Which of the apocalyptic horsemen would you like to talk about
I know,
today?
we're not even going to get to
Pestilence?
any of this because it's all ketchup and mustard here. So, but like, I think that is so wonderful. I think that here's something instructive for the people listening to this. Don't be afraid of going and ruling an open stage.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
There's always going to be those two guys that go to every one of them and play their shitty acoustic guitar, and they're not going to be great, and we all love them, and they're out to have a beer, and they say they have a gig on Wednesday. There's always that guy, right? But like if you got like a duo or a band together, hey, go put it on tape. Go have your friends support you and do some iPhone video or whatever, and fucking rock and kill an open stage. Because, by the way, in between the other open stage sign-uppies, and you get your little band, if you got your shit together at all, you will like bring the house down.
Yep.
Compared to just solo singer chick that's like just trying out new songs.
Yeah.
It is it's like all of us have done it, all of us do it. So don't be afraid to don't try to get that first gig right away. Go do that. Get your 3 songs worked out and go rule an open stage.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
And especially if there's I became aware recently that the music scene in Denver is not what I thought it was.
Oh.
No, it's like, I found I've got a whole bunch, we've got a whole bunch of friends who still go out and play music, and I've waded waist deep into a whole other scene that's kind of like exploded out of this kind of like open stage, open mic kind of bunch of people that got together and started doing that or playing, like to get like just jamming together. And it, like we used to do, like we met all of our people with. And there's a whole nother, I hate that because nother is not a word.
It's got an apostrophe, whole nother.
Yeah. Whole other.
Whole another.
Yeah. But there's a whole other group of musicians and bands and artists that I'm starting to run into at venues. I'm like, where did you guys all meet? Oh yeah, we ended up in a basement blues jam in Parker.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, I haven't seen you play this theater before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen you be. Did you come this far north?
It was weird because back in the day, there were a lot more places. Like there were classic kind of open stage place. I used to host a few, but like the Cricket on the Hill had a really good one. Ziggy's had a really good one for blues. That was like, and like that wasn't for like amateurs. There were like some
hard
heavy hitters would be there and shit. And
Yeah.
it was just like it would turn into a Sunday party at that point. And like I used to host one at Armedia's and at 13th Avenue. By the way, it's awesome. If you are a singer-songwriter guy, get yourself a hosting gig for an open stage because you'll find other players for one. You basically get paid to have a few beers and play 2 songs while everyone else and keep a clipboard. You know, basically, it's a really good gig.
It's a good gig.
It's a really good gig. But what's funny is it's come back around to some of these bars that didn't have something going on a Sunday night or a Wednesday night. It's usually on an off night, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But like some of those bars, I think people have been. What I've seen is there's some older folks getting back out there with some of the older folks they used to play with who are not in bands anymore, and kind of like, oh, it's a little family project now. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah. The family band, the Partridge Family is a thing that I aged out of podcasting with that reference.
I hated the Partridge Family.
Okay, I was not a fan either.
Yeah, not a fan.
No.
I know I was supposed to be.
Supposed to
Even
be.
though,
I hate
like,
that term.
We're both too young for that. That was squarely 60s, I think. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it just so there you go. I just want to be on record. Fuck the Partridge Family. Just want to be on record for it. In case anyone thought, you know what? I think that Michael guy, he might. No, fuck Danny Bonaducci. Fuck all of them. You got to have a hot take in podcasts too. You do.
Okay, well that was.
I think they were just having fun, and at least they put on a good show.
I hope both teams have a great time. I hope Danny Bonaducci is still a redhead.
He is. He actually just retired from radio.
What?
Yeah, he had like a big radio show in Seattle, I think. I just saw this like a month ago. And he retired, and it came out as like a story that he's retiring. I'm like, that's a story?
Yeah.
Like, that just means your contract's up, man. Like, you didn't, you know what I mean? Like, no one's listening. No one's like,
retired.
Oh, no more Bonaducci introducing Third Eye Blind or whatever. I don't know what music he was playing.
Here's that classic song. Fuck, I can't remember a Third Eye Blind song now. What's the name of that? Semi-Charmed Life. That's the name of the song.
It's the song about speed.
The sky was gold. Shit. How do I know that?
Do the method make it go? Whatever. It's a song about speed, and like everybody was like, "Oh, this is a fun song for all the kids."
For all the kids, we sing it now, and they're all
next
like,
to Brain Stew, and we're good.
Yep.
All right, we should get to an email or a question or a topic.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do.
Is the one that Kelsey put in okay?
The question?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to talk to her about her grammar, but sure.
Well, she just copy and pasted from GPT. Yeah, so I don't think she...
Just kidding.
Right? Yeah.
Kelsey, you're a delight.
She is a delight.
She's flipping me off right now, isn't she?
She is. Double-fisted.
Yep. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Well,
all right. So one of the questions that we had, which I guess this is a question, and I guess I'll expound upon it.
Yeah.
But do you guys know what the age breakdown of Spotify is? And I think that this is basically leading to like how much time or attention should we put into Spotify for our fan base and what it is. But yes, well, straight up answer the question. The largest Spotify users are, and it shouldn't be a surprise, are the youngins, 18 to 24, little Gen Z action there. And it basically breaks down like this. 18 to 24 is about 31.5%, 25 to 34, 31.5%. 35 to 44, only 11%, and 45 to 54, little Gen X action there, only 8%. Boomers are nearly 20%.
Whoa. Isn't
that interesting?
That's so like a larger number than I thought. Yeah.
Millennials and Gen X are the least users. Mm-hmm. And so that's why there's probably a disconnect with you and your friends if you're listening to this. The other thing that you should know is that Gen Z women are the highest users of Spotify.
Okay.
And so that
Is that a Taylor Swift effect?
Well, I think there's also but overall, in total, the majority of users on Spotify are men, 54%.
Okay.
Now, I think podcasts have something to do with that. I think Joe Rogan, I think that effect has something to do with that. But because, by the way, keep in mind, these are global numbers, and they're also what Spotify is telling you or telling their investors. So who knows if it's exactly true. They're probably shading the numbers a little one way or the other for advertising purposes. I think it's important for you to understand that in comparison, Apple has a majority women users.
Interesting.
Apple Music. And over on Apple, the majority of users are between, well, it's kind of evenly split, but 18 to 24 is not the majority. That's 17%. 25 to 34 is 23. 35 to 44 is 22%.
Oh, wow.
Gen X is 45 to 54 is 15%. And the boomers, again, 23%. Now, that number also probably includes some of the classical stuff, which would have more boomer stuff in it. But this also kind of shows you more like purchasing power, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you can have freemium on Spotify, which would make sense that like an 18 to 24-year-old would be more of the user base.
Listen to some ads.
Whereas like everybody on Apple Music is paying.
Yeah.
And so, 25-year-olds to 54-year-olds more have jobs or more pay for their shit,
Yeah.
But they're also probably more in the ecosystem of Apple. They have, an iPhone and a MacBook at that point. They're post-college, becoming professional, whatever. So what do these numbers tell you? Nothing.
Well, see you later.
But it should, if you wanted to do like sort of a more focused campaign on your fan base, if you know you have more women than men in your fan base, well, you probably want to focus a little bit more or have a different campaign towards Apple Music. If you know that most of your fan base is kind of younger, say you're younger and you're popping off, you absolutely want to focus more on Spotify. And therefore Spotify Premium too. You want to catch those premium people there.
Yeah.
But this is the reason why we bring this up, and I guess the reason why I'm answering this question is that while all of this is interesting to know and it's good to know, it's more important for you to know what your demographics are and where your people are. Because one thing I heard this last week from two separate artists who did what we said, they did a whole survey to their fan base. One of them has a mailing list of about, they're in California, mailing list about 6,000 nationally. Another has a mailing list of something like 1,000 or 2,000. Really poor open rates, by the way. So like it's kind of a bullshit list. But in both cases, they did what we asked and said they surveyed their fans to find out, hey, where do you listen to music? Do you want physical? Do you care? Do you own a record player? Do you still listen to CDs? Do you listen to music in the car? Do you listen to the radio? They did like a 10. Apparently, they took it right off the podcast. I was like, which podcast was that? I don't remember it. But they were like, yeah, you had like 10 questions that you're like, oh, yeah, you should ask this survey your fans. So they did. And one of the bands was completely surprised that the majority of their fans were gals between 30 and 40. And something like 40% wanted more physical and no streaming.
Oh, wow.
And they've been running campaigns, and this is the problem. They've been running campaigns to Spotify thinking, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, no wonder. No one's on there that likes us.
Yeah.
Or no one that likes us is on there. I don't know chicken egg, but.
Yeah.
And so basically the conversation was, well, what does that tell you? We need to offer a physical thing.
Yeah.
And see if we can. And it doesn't matter whether, you guys, we're going to say this again. It doesn't matter whether you believe people are listening to vinyl or whether you believe people are listening to CDs. If people want it, that is their vote for you. It doesn't matter whether they're actually using it or have a CD player or have a record player. Fucking print the thing. Like, find the number of how many people are interested and print the thing and give it to them and sign it. By the way, sign it.
Yeah.
So so that is why you want to know these numbers.
Yeah.
Is to correlate them with your numbers, because your numbers are actually more important. You may find out that you are an older artist and none of your people are on streaming, or not a significant amount. 20%, like what the fuck are you putting on streaming in the first place?
Yeah.
And I can tell you why you should be wanting to build a bigger fan base globally and distribution and SEO. There's a lot of reasons, but how much money and effort you put towards promoting your streams. Oh, by the way, on two of those things, both of those campaigns that those people did, and I can also attest to this from my little jury pool. Like all the people in the jury, they had to ask them, hey, what do you listen to? What do you watch? Do you listen to the radio? All of that, right? Do you listen to streaming? What they were getting to was like, do you listen to crime podcasts? That's what they were getting to.
Yeah.
But this is interesting for both of those bands. And these are just little examples, but both of those bands we were just talking about, one of them's an artist, but let's call him a band. Both of those bands and this cross section of people from 19 to 80 in this jury pool of like 100 people, almost all of them mentioned YouTube. Almost all of them. Now, what they watch on YouTube, what they listen to YouTube, that's different, but it doesn't matter. If they're on YouTube, if you get someone like me or Stu, we can reach them.
Yeah.
If you know they're on that platform, I can find that motherfucker. And so it is important for you to understand just how big YouTube is. When you hear all your friends talk about Spotify and Apple Music and just stop. YouTube. Like if someone were to ask me where should I put my money right away, I'm always YouTube first. Try to find them on YouTube first, because it is just your chances are better of hitting someone in the head with your arrow.
Yeah, and then you can take them from YouTube to other places. But
then
YouTube
find
is
where they
then find them there. I just did a release campaign. Well, I didn't do the release campaign for them. I gave them the information to do a release, and everything went great with DistroKid. Let's just say that the YouTube piece nobody paid attention to because they didn't think it was important. And I was doing consulting calls. I was having conversations every single time. How's your YouTube thing? Well, we're not really working on that right now.
Let me ask you, did they do the pay on DistroKid for YouTube thing? Or
Yes.
did they get to that and go, oh, I shouldn't pay for it?
They did. They did do that. Because I got they say, should we do this? And I said, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did that. But there was also like how they put together their video and how they structured their title
Channel.
and their channel. I did my best.
But
It's
I
not.
guess
It's,
my best wasn't good.
it's just again. It's like every time I think that we have both been on this tip of this is a global platform, and it's not. It's not locked to an app or a paywall or anything. Anybody in the world can see your music and see you on YouTube. And that you can share a link. Nobody has to open anything. They just open a browser and watch it. It's
Even on shitty mobile.
Even on shitty like
there are no roadblocks trying to get you. I mean, it may pop up for an ad, obviously, or premium, but it doesn't really roadblock you. You just go, no thanks.
Yeah.
Let me watch what I'm here for.
You can have a burner phone with barely internet service and still listen to a new song.
And we'll beat everyone over the head with it and tell them. And a lot of people won't do it. And listen, you got to go your own way, right? Do whatever you're going to do. Just know you're going to eventually have to play on YouTube.
Yep.
You just eventually will have to, and so you're just wasting time. Because it is so much more complicated than you think. The little tweaks and ticks about how to do your channel, how to get your topic channel of the DistroKid or the STEM distribution music correlate it into your playlist to your releases, correlate all of that money into PRO stuff so that your ASCAP, BMI, CSAC stuff gets paid, or PRS. There's a bunch of reasons why. And, that's why you have to pay us a lot of money to tell you. But, like, when people go and they consult with us and they're like, oh, it just sounds too complicated. Yeah, it's fucking complicated. But this is why you're losing on Spotify. Because you're like, oh, it's real easy. Everybody's on Spotify. And I'm telling you, these numbers show you it's hit or miss depending on who likes your music.
Yeah.
And it's definitely hit or miss on trying to send people there to try to convert people into fans. That's the other thing about YouTube, is that you can really convert people to a fan base. It's so much easier to subscribe and like and get kind of information fed back to you within YouTube.
I agree.
So there you go. So the answer to the Spotify question is YouTube.
YouTube. Yep. That's the answer to the Spotify question.
And by the way, we should mention this. We'll just bring this back from the early thing. The Spotify Premium individual plan is increasing from $10.99 to $11.99 per month. The second rate increase within 6 months this year.
I'm curious. I'm curious how this is. It's a bold plan, Scott, and let's see how they work out for him.
I can tell you the answer to this question.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck are they doing is the question.
Oh,
right?
I know what they're doing, but,
but
go ahead.
but the answer to the question is they don't care how many users it affects.
Yeah.
It will affect the market. They are close to reporting profit because of it, but the analysts will then set the stock price at a good level. And so when they report next quarter, they're going to find gold at the end of that rainbow. And that it has nothing to fucking do with you. And Daniel Ek just said the cost of creating content is near zero. That's what he thinks about you as a music maker.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not music. So it's not
content.
some emotional gold. It's content. And he thinks the cost is basically zero because you can press a button on a laptop. Instead of the years of training and the guitar and learning how to sing and learning how to write songs and the pain and the divorce you went through and the breakup. And he doesn't understand all the rest of it because he's a fucking billionaire. And so just so you know where Spotify stands on all of this, that's where they stand on it. The cost is near zero, and they just raised the price for you to listen to it.
Do you think that he and Mark Zuckerberg were manufactured in the same factory?
White pasty shit? Yeah, probably.
We don't have an opinion on any of this.
Whatever. They just piss me off every day more and more.
Okay.
They also put lyrics behind the paywall, so now you can't get lyrics on free. Yeah, so that's also, as a songwriter and publisher, you should fucking hate Spotify. They just cut us out of more money because they made the bundle price. They just took lyrics off of the thing, so you're not going to get paid for lyrics views on there unless it's on the premium account and someone clicks on it. And yet, as an artist, you have to continue to put all the shit on Spotify. You just have to. Yeah. And it just sucks, and it just sucks, and it sucks, and it sucks.
And it's getting. I mean, it's not even nickels and dimes. It's just like little pieces just keep getting shaved off of what you can do on there as a rights holder.
And you can, and this does not mean that you can't make money on Spotify. You can.
Of course.
The problem is that, like, can you build a great fan base on Spotify alone? No. Mm-hmm. It is a promotional tool in the way that they've made it, but if you're on the back end of it, if you're a songwriter or a publisher, they're just fucking you. They fuck you in the drive-thru. They fuck you in the drive-thru. But anyway, it just sucks. Okay.
Well, thanks there, Debbie Downer. I'm just kidding.
YouTube.
Focus on YouTube. YouTube.
All right, let's get to the sing of the week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You want me to go or you to go? I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry.
You haven't talked. No, I like when you talk a lot. I like when you get on your rants. I enjoy rants. I know long enough. We've been doing this long enough. I just take the leash off and just stand back and watch you eat all the other dogs in the park.
Spotify, music publishing.
So I'm still slowly wading my way through, some new shows, some new programs. I'm polishing off the new season of Star Trek Discovery, but there's no real,
Yeah.
you know,
This
you
is
can't
me in
like,
Wheel of Time.
dude.
There's no needle drops in Wheel of Time.
No, there's no needle drops in Wheel of Time. I haven't even started the second season yet, but I you know, occasionally I drop in on Maya Rudolph in Loot. So I've been enjoying back. I'm kind of visiting. We visit every now and then. We watch an episode, and
The
an
money
episode.
and the life and the price is right.
There's you know, there's certain hip hop tracks that when they drop, you go, fuck, I forgot how much I love that song. And then from that song, I immediately see the video.
Yeah.
And the drop in episode 2 of season 1 of Loot was Turned Down for What? Lil Jon, DJ Snake. And every time when it drops, all I see is the video. All I can see is that video where people dancing and losing their mind and smashing through floors on an apartment building and crazy as their boobs dancing. It's a strange video. And it is brilliant. And so, like, that was when that comes on, there's some strutting happening. It's like, hell yeah. And so that is my drive of the week, because it made it, again, I like when the music, like, I'm all of a sudden ready to pause it. I made it through the episode, but I wanted to pause it and go for a 12-mile run at that point in time. It got my heart rate up so much. I wanted to, you know, like, you do a rail and you go do, you know, like, you see the lights in the club and, you know, you remember the days, back in the days, but he's sweating, dancing, it's sexer time.
The club out.
Yeah.
Poor DJ Snake doesn't really get the love on that. Like, you know, I mean, he gets the money.
He does get the money,
but everyone just knows that's Lil Jon.
Well, because that is a definitive voice.
Yeah,
that is a definitive voice on that man. And every time he shows up, I'm like, well, there he fucking is.
There he is again. A very identifiable voice.
Yeah.
Not the best voice, but a very identifiable voice. So
again,
it is the best voice for the song.
Well, it's the discussion of, like, do you have to be great or do you have to be unique to make a real splash in the creative industries? And anyway, but to finalize on Loot, Charlie Haggard is the soup on that.
You gotta be one or the other.
Yeah. Or, I mean, a little column A, little column B, and then everybody's confused.
That's right. Charlie Haggard, good job over there on Loot.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Loot has some just amazing drops. And
the
you can
show
just
is
tell
fine, but the music is fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, it's... the title track's great. Like, the whole thing, like, it's one of those shows where I listen to the title track, and it's fantastic. All right, mine is also on Apple TV. It's Big Door Prize, the worst named show on Apple.
But it's a great show.
But it's a weird, quirky show, and it is very Apple-ish. It's a show that, like, I don't think would be made otherwise, because it's so, like,
it's very weird. Yeah. Very weird.
And based on a book, The Morpho, I believe. But season 2, episode 6. Anyway, I'm not going to get into what Big Door Prize is, but that's the name of it. You should check it out if you're into kind of fun. It's kind of a sitcom with a little bit of love and drama on the side.
Love and sci-fi.
And sci-fi, I should mention that. Yeah, mystery. More mystery, Yeah,
it's an interesting device, but go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so there was a really interesting drop that is kind of in music industry lore that I wanted to share with everyone, because people who aren't really into sync or into music publishing don't know some of these stories. And so it's kind of, this is the shit I love sharing with people. Season 2, episode 6 has a drop called You and Me by Penny and the Quarters. And Penny and the Quarters is a really interesting, so it's a soul song from somewhere in the early 70s. And Penny and the Quarters is this interesting story in the music industry that is considered a lost soul band that came to prominence, and this is like the wiki, that came to prominence in 2010 when an unreleased demo of that song was used in Blue Valentine. Ryan Gosling had heard a release from Numero Group and recommended it to the director at the time,
Cool.
and for Blue Valentine, and it got used.
Nice.
Well, the thing is that no one knows who this fucking band is.
All right.
And the band, they were teenagers at the time. The members of Penny and the Quarters. They auditioned for Harmonic Studios in Columbus, Ohio. They did 3 demos. And basically, there was a lead nanny, Penny Coulter, and then her 3 brothers, Johnny, Donald, and William. So it was a family.
Oh, cool.
And the songs are like, we don't even know when the songs were technically recorded. Like,
Oh,
it's
wow.
listed as somewhere between 1970 and 75 in a home studio of this dude, and it was put into storage. And after the guy, Clem Price, who was like the producer who did these, after he died in 2006, this collection of tapes and acetate records
Whoa.
they were
nice.
purchased at a real estate sale, and Numero Group basically released those songs. Ken Shipley, but they have played the recording. They went to try to find who the owners of this were and the family, and they like for years they could not find it. But the members were identified. Like at that point, nobody knew where this music came from. Right? It was just like there were these unreleased demos, and everybody was like, "Well, but this is pretty fucking great."
Yeah.
Well, they had released it. They identified in like 2011. 2011, dude. They finally identified who the people were. Penny and her brothers.
Okay.
And also another singer, Jay Robinson, who was associated with them. But they died. Or he died in 2009. And so this became like sort of an estate thing to get the rights to it. But since then, it's been used in a bunch of shit. Jenny in Georgia, and an Oreos campaign, and a Wonderful Life at Kia campaign, and Outer Banks used it. It was in Girls on HBO.
Yeah.
So it's become this sort of music supervisor, sort of insider baseball thing. But this is so interesting to me because some of y'all might end up being Penny and the Quarters.
Yeah.
Because you have like some recording from the 90s that never was released. And when you die, somebody's going to pull it out and be like, fuck, this is a great song.
Yeah.
So I would say go find those unreleased recordings and try to get them, wrapped
get
up
'em
under your
yeah.
publishing.
Yeah. Get them
But yeah,
somewhere.
if you want to check out Penny and the Quarters, go ahead and look it up on YouTube. It's all kind of settled now, but I just thought that was a really interesting story. And when I heard the drop, I know the story, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, they did the thing.
Yeah.
And by they, I mean Maggie fucking Phillips did the
Oh,
thing.
nice.
So Maggie went and thought, I'm going to be a part of this little parade too. And she licensed you and me from Penny and the Quarters. There you go.
Fucking cool
So a
story,
little music
man.
publishing minute with Michael St. James.
Hey, question for you. What the fuck just happened?
No idea.
The question was, was it the song and the scene and the placement, or the story that piqued your interest and made this the sync of the week for you?
Well, because who I am, I knew the story. So the second I heard the drop, I was like, oh shit. So
Yeah.
I immediately went to that, but it worked in the episode perfectly too.
Nice.
And so it was kind of a double, it's the thing about like music supervisors, like when you get the perfect placement at the perfect time and there's a story
Yeah.
behind it. It was all
Yeah.
of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me, because I knew the story, I was like, oh shit, they did the thing.
You get the holy
Because I knew
triumvirate.
it's just like what we were talking about this weekend with the Rolling Stones and the Verve Pipe and
Yeah.
and like I know the story behind it. So whenever I hear Bittersweet Symphony,
Yeah.
I don't think of it as Bittersweet Symphony. I think
Yeah.
of it as Abco and the Rolling Stones and a lawsuit and
Yeah.
all of that shit. And so
Yeah.
then I have to share the story because I'm like, ooh, I'm a music publisher guy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the way I first thought of it, honestly. But it also, like, she didn't just drop it in because it's kind of a weird placement.
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, I'm sure other songs would work, but yeah, it fucking worked. It worked great.
Nice. That show is the first season I really enjoyed. I've been waiting for the second season. Is it finished up? Can I binge it?
Yeah.
Cool.
You can finish it out.
Fantastic. I am
And
into that.
it gets weirder.
Good. I liked how I really liked the weirdness. I liked there was a lot of weirdness in the first one. Enjoyed that. Good choice,
All right,
man.
everybody. Let's wrap this sucker up. Everybody make sure to check out StuMillerMusic.com. That's StuMillerMusic.com. He may have some slots
I
open
do.
for you.
I got a couple slots because the both of the records I am in the middle of, I'm finishing up this month. I also have a punk record I'm finishing up at the end of this month too, so that's exciting.
God save the Queen. Remember to rate and subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Leave a hilarious comment over there on Apple Podcasts. And you can find us wherever you find people at 2 Shots Music Pod. That's the number 2 Shots Music Pod. You can also email us 2shotsmusicpod@gmail.com. That's the number 2 Shots Music Pod @gmail.com. Thank you to all of our YouTube subscribers. Really appreciate it. Lots of great comments on there. We have a lot of fun talking with you back and forth. Not so much with you people on Instagram. You people on Instagram have nasty comments. Be better. Be better. TikTok, kind of fun. Thank you very much. We had a little fun on TikTok with some people this week, and so that was fun too. So we really do appreciate that. And until we talk to you next week, we love you. Write a great song and have a good one. We love you. Goodbye.